Okay, from today onwards, what we are going to look at is working with parameters. Working with parameters. Because Revit is a parametric modeling software. So if you understand how to work with the parameters, then most of your work is cut off for you. And two places that you can mostly work with parameters is the properties dialog box, properties palette. That's the instance properties palette. And then the type properties dialog box. Apart from the properties palette, all the remaining that will be left will be mere settings. And all those settings that we are going to look at, they are all going to be parametric settings, from unit settings, line weight settings, graphical settings, mechanical settings, structural settings, everything else is settings, and they're all parametric. So you should know the settings that you need to know, and then do those settings so that your work will come out nice. As for the modeling there, at least we know the basics, but you can add on small, and then build on as we move along. So let me start Revit and let's see how it will go. I can share my screen too. From early next week, I'll start working on the pilot projects. I'll serialize it so that you can watch it separately and look at the workflow, how I go about my work. You can also watch it to guide you how you also model your work. Okay, this is the startup screen for Revit. The first thing I want us to look at is this interface here. If you look at the button at the upper left corner here, you can click on this one, then to switch between this screen and that screen. When I click on File, the first settings I want us to look at is these options here. You see there's options here. When you click on options, we have general settings, user interface settings, colors settings, graphics settings, hardware settings, file location settings, rendering settings, check spelling settings, steering wheel settings, view cube settings, macros settings, and then cloud model settings. Whether you like it or not, so long as you decided to use Revit as a tool, you must get comfortable with these settings. Let's take general, for instance. We have notifications, save reminder intervals. How often do you want to be reminded to save your work intervals? Synchronize with central interval. This one if you are working in a team. So every 30 minutes, Revit will remind you to save your work. You can change it to 15 minutes to 2 hours, or you can decide that you don't want any reminder. So you save the work on your own. You can set up your username. Mine is KD Apple, Kwame don't for Apple. Whenever you are saving your file, you can decide how many backups should be saved, and so on. If you go to the user interface, you see we have the menu items here, architecture, structure, steel, precast, system, insert. Those are the same thing you see here.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Magnifier.
Oh, we've been working with this thing for so many times. You should get comfortable with them. You should get comfortable with them, I beg. These menu items here, architecture, structure, steel, precast, system, all the way down to modifier. You can control which one you want to see, which one you don't want to see by going to the user interface settings here. So if you are not working in structure, the work you are doing doesn't involve structure, you can switch it off. If it doesn't involve system, you can switch it off. If it doesn't involve electrical, you can switch it off. If it doesn't involve piping, you can switch it off. If you know you are not doing energy analysis, you can switch that one to off. And as soon as you go to OK, you observe that all of them, you watch, they will go. You see that now you have only architecture, you have insert, you have annotate, and those things. These are user interface settings that you can always do. I'll go again to options. Let me magnify it again. Then you go to something like file locations. In Revit, we work with a lot of files. Okay, you must know where your files are located and how to manage them. So for instance, if you go to project templates that we work with, later on when we show you how to save your templates, the work that you are supposed to do in order to get your template, most of you have not done it. But whatever be the case, whatever you've done, I'll let you save it as a template. Then you use it to do your work. Because I can't force you to do the work that you're expected to do. When you create your template, you can decide the path that you want to use it. So if you look at this one, the path is here. The multidiscipline that I've been using to teach, metric multidiscipline. If you look at the path, it's C, programs data, Autodesk, RVT 2026, template, English, default, metric, and so on. You understand? So if you look at the path, you see the path, default, metric, discipline, metric, dot, RTE. That is the path. You can design set up your own path. And I'll show you how to do that later on. When you want to save document, you start a project for the first time, then you want to save document. By default, it saves to C user admin documents. You can change this path. Where your family templates are stored. So anytime you want to load a template, the path is here. You can set it and then change it as and when you want. So they are all settings. If you go to the steering wheel, if you want to show tool messages, you can switch it on and off. If you want to show tool tips, you can switch it on and off. The big steering wheel appearance, if you want it small or big or large, you can specify it. You can increase the opacity or decrease the opacity of it. These are all basic settings like we have in phones and whatever. So please get comfortable with them. It is not for me to go through all of them with you. My duty is to show you where they are. Go there and then explore them. If you have any issue with them, you can draw my attention, then I will assist you. Okay. Apart from that, when you start a project, let me open an existing project. Let's say architectural project. This is file. Let me take architectural model. Okay. And open this one. there are so many settings that you can do about this project. You go to the settings, and to go to the settings, you go to the Manage tab. The Manage tab is the place where you have most of the settings to be done. And as you can see here, we have settings here, settings here, material settings, object style settings, snap settings, project information settings, parameters service settings, project parameters settings, shared parameters settings, global parameters settings, transfer project standards, purge or use, project units. And if you go to here too, we have additional settings, line style settings, line weight settings, line pattern settings, sheet issue revision settings, fill pattern settings, annotation settings, and annotation, arrowheads, temporary dimensions, section tags, elevation tags, call-out tags. There are settings for all of them. Half-tone and underlay settings, sun settings, material asset settings, analysis display style settings, detail level settings, assembly code settings, and then multi-values indication settings. They are all there. Apart from that, we have location settings, project location settings. We have coordinate settings, how you can acquire coordinates, publish coordinates, reset shared coordinates, specify coordinate at a point, report shared coordinates. All these settings are there. We have position settings. If you want to relocate a project, rotate the project true north, mirror a project, rotate a project, you can do that. We have design option settings. We have generative design settings, how to create a study, explore outcomes. If you want to manage a project, how to manage link. If you want to manage link, there's a manage link dialog box that you can use to manage links. And this dialog box is also a settings that you need to be able to manage and then control. I'll close it. If you go here, we have decal types. And decal are images that we use in the project. So you can add images into the project and then work with them. You must know how to do the settings for all of them. Everything is about settings. Starting a project view. Whenever you start a new project, you can decide what view you should start with. And those are all settings. So you go through them one after the other. We have facing settings. We have selection settings, inquiry settings. If you go to warnings, if you do a project and there are warnings in the project, you can see all the warnings, so many warnings in the project. Ideally, you should check and make sure that there are no warnings in your project. The more warnings you have in your project, then the more unhealthy your project is. So you have what you call health and safety checks. So you have to do this health and safety checks to make sure that there are no more any sort of warnings within your project. Apart from that, we have extensions. We have extension settings. We have add-ins manager. Revit, you can bring in add-ins. You can download add-ins from Autodesk website. We call it Revit applications, Revit apps. And then you can download the apps and then use them. We have macros manager. We have macro security. Then we have visual programming using Dynamo. Visual programming is another ball game altogether. It is called Dynamo. It is called visual programming, whereby we leverage the Revit beyond the basic understanding of it. But you must understand Revit to the core before you can use Dynamo to use it to work. And if you come to the Dynamo also comes with its own user interface that you can work with. There are sample files in the Dynamo that I can open, for instance, and then show you. Let's say this one. And if you come into this sample files, this is a model that we have here. Then what you have here at the top here is what we call, this is a real model that you can work with. And this one, nobody manually modeled this one, but they use what you call visual programming tools using attractor point. This is the info, point grid. Then they use graphs and then connect all these graphs together in order to do computational design. This is what we call computational design. In other softwares, they use what we call Grasshopper. I don't know whether you've heard of Grasshopper before. So Dynamo is the Grasshopper version of this software. So if you go to other softwares like Rhino and then ArchiCAD and then whatever, they use Grasshopper. But in Autodesk, they use Dynamo. It's an advanced course. If you are using it, if you are doing conceptual maths, if you are doing family component creation, this Dynamo comes in for you to enable you create complex building forms and facade and stuff. So this is the Dynamo. And if you look at Dynamo, we have dictionary objects, we have display objects, we have geometry objects, we have import objects, input, and everything that you see in this list, they are all parameters. If you go to the basic, you have sub-parameters. If you go to datetime, you have sub-parameters. By date, add datetime, by date and time, everything is there. If you go to list, if you want to work with lists, there are different types of lists. You can generate a list. You can expect a list. There are so many sub-objects of it. And if you don't understand the basics of the Revit, then bringing you to this area will be like a blind person being introduced to the Makola market in a typical afternoon. That person will just vanish in his dream. So these are all tools that are available. If you go to Revit here, we have Revit specific tools. We have Revit elements, adaptive components, we have appearance assets, we have coordinates, we have ceiling. All the Revit elements are here. Element by type, Revit families, by name, by family document, by type, by family instance. Everything is here. Grade is here, form is here, floor is here. If you go to floor, you can add point, move point, the points that define the floor by outline level. Everything is here. And these are all parameters that you can work with, like I've always been saying. But if you don't understand parameters, it will be very difficult for you to work with. If you go to units, quantity of the unit, the symbols for the unit itself, the utilities that you can apply to them, and this one becomes handy. I beg, using Dynamo is beyond the scope of this course. So there's no need for me to go through what Dynamo entails because it will just confuse most of us. But it is a course that as a Revit user, that if you want to advance to a certain level, it will be very difficult for you to overlook it. I started exploring Dynamo in 2013. But by 2014, I didn't get anybody who was interested to learn Dynamo with. So I had to share the whole idea and then went into web application development. So take note of this one, but I'll close it. Now, from here, these are all settings. Everything is settings. If you don't understand how to work with these settings, then it means that you cannot use the Revit very well. But for today onwards, what I want us to look at before we get to the settings is this palette here called properties. This properties palette. I want us to look at it carefully. And then everything you see here is a parameter. View scale is a parameter. Display model is a parameter. Detail level is a parameter. Part visibility is a parameter. Visibility graphics overall edit. All these things are parameters. Graphic display options, edit. Everything you see here are parameters. There are so many parameters here that you should get comfortable with. Any object you work with in Revit, being it a view, being it a datum element, being it a grid, being it a level, being it a floor, being it an area, being it a duct, every object has parameters. You must know how you can control and manage the parameters governing every single object. And this properties palette gives you a fair idea, the parameters associated with any object. If you go to the properties, watch, they are always grouped into certain group. So we have the graphics group, we have the underlay group, we have the extent group, we have the identity data group, we have the facing group, we have the view view to sheet positioning group. So anytime if you watch, I'll tell you go to the graphics, and under graphics, look for orientation, or I'll tell you go to underlay, and the underlay look for base level, or go to extent, and extent look for maybe scope box. So everything you see here is a parameter. Oh, excuse me. When you don't select anything and you are in a view, you see the name of the view there. It will tell you it's a floor plan, and it will tell you it's architectural floor plan. As soon as you click on edit type, this type properties dialog box will pop up. It will tell you the family. If it's a system family, it will tell you that it's a system family. Watch closely. Always watch the type properties palette well. It always tells you the family it is, and then the type it is. Currently, you see, we have different types of floor plans. Architectural plan, lighting plan, mechanical plan, plumbing plan, power plan, site plan, working plan. You can add to the list. Not everything is floor plan. So there are different types of plans. If I select section and I go to building section and I go to edit type, it will tell you that the system family is section and the type is building section. So under sections 2, you can have building section, you can have wall section, you can have working section, you can have a detail section, you can have sub-detail section, you can have component section, you can have a footing section, you can have dark section. All sections are different and they must be depicted differently. So please get comfortable with this properties palette and then this type properties palette. Any question before I continue? On the properties palette and the type properties palette. Hello. Any question?
No, okay.
Yes, sir. Who was speaking?
It's Godwin.
Yeah, Godwin. Yeah.
I was saying that there is no question.
There's no question.
Yes, please.
So are you comfortable with the properties palette and then the type properties palette?
So far, yes.
You are?
Yes, please.
Okay. So please learn to use these two very well. Because if you don't understand these two, you have a lot of issues.
Okay.
When you have a wall and you want to get a different wall type, you have to select the wall, edit the type, and it will bring you to this type properties palette. And there are so many things about the wall that you can edit. But before then, you can create different wall types. If you select a duct, you can create different duct types. Window, different window types. Column, different column types. Elevations, different elevation types. 3D views, different 3D view types. Anything that you want different types, we do them in this type properties palette. So get used to them. So we are going to try our hands on some few architectural objects, few structural objects, mechanical, electrical, views, and so on, using the type properties palette. And normally, depending upon the object that you are going to select, the properties will be different because each and every object comes with its own parameters. Are you okay?
Yes.
Thank you. So let me start with datum elements, for instance. So I'll dock the properties again at the side and then go into one of the sections and then take the datum element. Let's say, for instance, level. If I select this level here, I'll see that the properties is here. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major categories by default. When you become an advanced user, you can add more categories and the list can be long. But for now, there are only 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories. If you check the constraints, under constraints, we have only 2 parameters. One is the elevation and the one is story above. If you go to the dimensions here and open the dimensions parameters, the computation height is 0. If you go to the extent, the scope box is none. If you go to the identity data, the name is roof level. It is not structural. You can make it structural or unstructural. Then it can define a building story or not. So there's those options that you can check it on or off. You must take your time and understand what these things are. It is not for me to teach you everything. The other time I told you, if you want a help topic on some of these things, you can go to the Revit help. I can click on this Revit help. Then to open the Revit help for me, all the help topics about the Revit that I want to learn, I can get it from here. If I go to the menu here, I'll see every topic. What's new in Revit? Revit 2026 release note. Getting started. There are subtopics under each. And you can read on anything, Revit fundamentals. Okay, there are notes there, topics in this session about Revit, about parametric modeling relationship, about element behavior. So if I go to about parametric modeling relationship, you can read on them and understand what it means. Please, we are in a knowledge world. We are in the information age. We are in the age. Everything that you want to work with has some aspect of information aspect of it. Either you know it or you don't know it. You cannot assume that you know unless you get to the source and get to know of it. They are making updates every year. The last time I learned Revit was about 11 years ago. All what I'm teaching currently that I'm teaching you is based upon 11 years knowledge. I've not added anything new. So for me to be very relevant, I need to update myself and then read on these things. When I was using Revit those days ago, we were using topo in a different format. We were using building part. But yesterday, when I was teaching it, I couldn't locate the building part. And I remember Antoinette asking me a question relating to how to work with a building plan. And I told her I need to go and read on it and then get back to her. So unless I go and read and then find out, I can't come back and explain things to her for her to understand. So please take steps and then find time and then explore the Revit help file here. It's a lot of notes, to be very sincere. A lot of materials you can learn on. So if you want to do mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, there are notes there under mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. If you go to we have mechanical systems, you can read on them. It will teach you anything you need to know about mechanical systems. That was how I learned it, so that I can come and teach you guys. You also need to go and learn it, so you can also update yourself and be relevant. If you go to mechanical, there are subtopics working with that component. It will teach you how to work with that component. There are so many subtopics. If you open the next one about break into components, it will show you step-by-step notes. If you go to about analytical duct segment, it will show you step-by-step notes for you to understand. If you go to ducts, it will give you notes concerning everything you need to know about ducts. If you open the sub-object, duct options bar, it will give you all the notes you need to know about that options bar. Even if you want a video on it, it will show you a video to watch in order to understand some things about that. Let me play the video. So you just watch. Please, knowledge is there.
Modify ducts in your Revit model using the options in the ducts panel. To access the duct panel, click the System tab and click Ducts. To begin, specify the reference level that you'll be working in the Properties palette. Let's work in 3D views so we can notice the changes we make in real time. You can edit the dimensions of ducts in the model. When modifying the dimensions of round ducts, we'll edit the diameter. Click on a round duct. Let's change the diameter to 200. Now, we'll select a rectangular duct. Change the width and height to 150 meters. By adjusting the middle elevation, you can determine the height offset of the duct within the selected level. Let's change the middle elevation of a rectangular duct to 2,850 millimeters. Notice how the height offset of the rectangular duct has been changed. We'll now change the view to the HVAC floor plan. Creating a duct in the model, you can also use the lock and unlock buttons to maintain the elevation of the duct segment. While locked, your duct will not be able to connect segments set at a different elevation. The duct tool selected. Let's change the middle elevation to 3,113 millimeters.
What inspired me is I did not design the software.
Set the lock icon.
Somebody designed the software. Mine is to learn the software so that I can use it. And the person has given me materials based upon which I can learn to understand it. And then want to say I can't learn it. No. If you go to that placement, you get notes. Justification settings, there are notes. Video for display, everything. Everything is there. If you want to work with flexible ducts, there are notes. If you want to place air terminals, there are notes. And please, some of these things, you need to push yourself and explore them. And I've sent you this link long ago. I don't know how many of you have taken time to explore it. Please, it is a very rich source of information that I will encourage anybody to go there and then learn. Now, if I select this and I also go to edit type, when I go to edit type, it will tell me that it is a system family and it's called a level. Currently, there are only 3 types of levels within the project. You can create more types if you want to. You create a new type by duplicating an existing one and then give it a name and then call it KDA level. And then go to OK. As soon as I do that, I have 4 more levels. I can duplicate again and then call it new level. New level and click OK. If I come in here, I'm getting more levels. You are not limited to use anything. You can create anything that you want. And when you create, there are parameters available. These parameters is not known to you alone. It's available to any Revit user. Then you go to them one by one: elevation base, line weight, color, line pattern, symbol, symbol at end 1, symbol at end 2, IC parameters, and then try to understand them. If there are some that you have challenges with, you can infer with me. I can assist you. If you can be able to understand it yourself, fine, move on with it. But if you close your mind that you will not explore it and know what everything is about and realize the limitations of it, then it means we have a big problem to solve. And I'm telling you, what you see here, they are called default parameters. You can create your own custom parameters and then add it and then exploit it and then make your Revit usage better. So when it comes to levels, you can create new types, as many as you want. When I go to grade also, and I select grade, grade also has its own properties. If I go to edit type, we have the type property dialog box. The family is system family grade. There are different types of grade. Currently, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 grades. You can duplicate it and then give it a name. Where is it? Minimize. You can duplicate it and then create a new grade and then give it a new name. Then call it KDA grade. And when I add KDA grade, it adds to the list. I can duplicate again. KDA grade 2. It adds to the list. I can select KDA grade and edit it parametric properties. Parameter value, parameter value, parameter value, parameter value, parameter value. Each parameter has a value that you can alter and change and update at any point in time. When it comes to datum elements, we can edit grades, we can edit levels. When you go to system elements and say go to the ground floor, and I take a wall here, as soon as I select the wall has properties here. As you can see, the wall has properties, constraint properties, cross-section definition, structural properties. As you can see, dimension properties, identity data properties, facing properties, IFC parameters properties. If you go to constraints, we have different properties of the wall. You must take your time and go through all of them one after the other. Change them. See the options that gives you. Explore them. What you don't understand, find ways and means of understanding by asking or by reading. Base constraints. This we've discussed over and over again. Base offset. We've discussed over and over again. Top offset or top constraint. We've discussed it over and over again. Top offset. We've discussed over and over again. This room bounding, you can read about them. You go to cross-section definition, you understand what it means, either vertical or slanted or tipped. You go to structural, you can check it or uncheck it. If you check it, they give you structural options. Whether it's a bearing wall, structural usage, non-bearing, or it's a shear or structural combined. If you understand what you're doing about structures, then you understand these terminologies. But if you don't understand structures, you wouldn't know what shear is. You wouldn't know what bearing is. Neither would you know what structural combined is. So if you are doing structures and you don't understand these things, then the best thing you can do is to go and read on them. And you can take any of these things. I can go to non-bearing. I can just select this non-bearing from here. Control C. Then go to help in Revit. If I go to help, it will open the help center for me. And when it opens the help center for me, there's a search here. And then go to Control V. So you see the non-bearing that I've typed here. As soon as I enter, Revit will search and it will look for everything that is related to non-bearing. And I can read on them as and when I want them. You can refine by knowledge source, by information category, by content type, by content provider, by skill level. And all this information, you can get it and then read about non-bearing. Please, we don't have an option to be average. You must be an expert in Revit in order to take advantage of Revit. You cannot be a basic user of Revit and then you can benefit from Revit. No. If somebody is an advanced user and you are a basic user, and Revit is a 32 gear car, and you are always driving in first gear, Revit is not an automatic car. Then you just step on a brake and accelerator, brake and accelerator. No, it is a 32 gear car. Then you must know when to move to first gear, when to move to second gear, when to move to seventh gear, when to move to the 13th gear, when to move to the 24th gear at any point in time. Somebody needs to set up you to be able to take advantage of the Revit. You can't nobody can force you. You must commit to yourself, challenge yourself that this is what I want to be able to achieve with the Revit. And you can. You don't have any limitation. So if you take the wall and want to create different wall types, there are so many wall types. So if I select this wall and I go to edit type, let me bring my magnifier again and then expand. If you go to wall, then you go to the system family and go to the drop down, see that there are 3 families: basic wall, curtain wall, and then stack wall. So there are only 3 families when it comes to walls: system basic wall, system curtain wall, and a system stack wall. Now, when it comes to the basic wall, we can have so many types under it. Currently here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 types under it. There can be 10 types. There can be 20 types. There can be 50 types. But the question you should be asking yourself is, of the 50 types of walls that are loaded in your project or that are created in your project, how many of them do you use on a typical project? For all you know, you are using, let's say, about 7 types of walls. For all you know, you are only using about 3 types of wall. For all you know, you're only using about 2 types of wall. So if you're using only 2 types of walls, Then create only those 2 types of walls and then remove any other wall that you don't need. If you are creating 7 types of walls, make sure that all the 7 types are the walls that you are using for your standard construction or something of the sort. Now, if you take each wall, there are properties, construction category properties, graphics category properties, materials and finish properties, analytical properties, identity data, IFC parameters. You have to take each one of them one after the other and understand the parameters. One of the parameters that is very important among them is the structure of the wall, the structure and nature of the wall. And when I click edit, this dialog box will pop up. Please, I bet you this dialog box is loaded with regard to walls. Very, very loaded. Anything you need to know about wall, you see it here. It will tell you the family of the wall, the type of the wall, the total thickness, the resistance, the thermal, the sample height, the layer composition of the wall. If you go to a preview, you see the preview of the wall. As you can see here, let me minimize this in a bit. This magnifier, I feel very uncomfortable about it. If you come in here, you see the preview of the wall. You can look at it in floor plan, or you can even look at it in what? In section to see the preview. And you can see the layer 1, the structural boundary, and then the external layer. Now, if you come to the layers here, we have divided it into functions, priority, materials, thickness, wraps, structural material, and then variable. If you go to the function, if you take each wall layer, the function can be structure, it can be substrate, it can be thermal layer, it can be finish 1, it can be finish 2, it can be membrane. If you do not understand these wall terminologies as a building industry professionals, and you see some of these things, you will get confused. But if you understand these things from your construction technology class, then you can utilize these things very, very well. Let me repeat again. If your construction technology is very weak and it comes to defining the structure of this wall, then some of these things will become confused to you, very confusing. Because if you say substrate of a wall, you don't know substrate of a wall. You don't know thermal layer. You don't know finish 1. You don't know finish 2. You don't know membrane layer. Then how are you going to use some of these things? Then you can't use it. So I'll leave it at finish 1. Then you can assign materials. Then you can give each wall a thickness, and you can do that. That is for the layers only. If you come down here, we have what you call default wrapping at insert, at ends. Then you go to modify vertical structure, section preview only. You can modify a wall. You can merge regions of a wall. You can create sweeps. Then a sweep dialog box will pop up. Then you can add a sweep to a wall. You can assign layers to a wall. You can split regions in a wall. You can add reviews to a wall. If you are using Revit and you are a Revit user, then you are not using all these things as they are defined under wall structure here, under construction here, and you are not using them, then you cannot sit anywhere and tell anybody that, no, Revit is limited. You can't do this, you can't do that. No. There are tools. And please, if you go to the Revit help file, if I click on this help here, it will open the help file for me. And it will take me to the wall compound structure here, as you can see. And it will educate me about everything I need to know about wall, about materials in compound geometry, about applying functions and priority layer to a compound structure, about layer wrapping at ends, or the videos I come home, among videos, our compound was joined to architectural columns, edit layers in compound walls, or the video editing BBR can edit amount. Please, That's how we learn them. You have no option than to explore them, learn them, and then use them. There's no shortcut. Simply put, there's no other shortcut than to know how to use all of these things here. So if you know how to use all of these things here in this dialog box, then you can tell yourself that no, when it comes to Revit walls, you understand what Revit walls are. So you can design any wall of a type that you want in terms of basic wall. So be it a wall with a honeycomb design, be it a wall with any skirting, reveals, or wall with insertions or anything, the tools are there that you can use to create them. If you can supervise this construction, if you can design it, I am giving you the assurance that there are tools available that you can use to create it in Revit. You must seek for it. But most of these things, excuse me to say, are beyond the scope of introduction to Revit. If you want to learn all these things, it will take us years, not months. There are a lot of things, even with the introductory class, I don't teach everything. I skip it, expecting you to go and explore it. If you get issues, you bring it, then we address them. But when you finish the class, you go and close your laptops. You don't practice, you don't bring issues, you don't discuss anything. Back to square one. And that's where we find ourselves. Cancel. If I go back, we have function of the wall. Are you using it at interior, exterior, foundation, retaining, as a soffit, as a core shaft? You can define all these things for the wall. And if you are preparing your specifications, if you are preparing a bill of quantities, if you are doing your detailing, all this information comes in handy at any point in time within the project delivery process. If I go to graphics for the wall, core scale fill pattern, you can specify any pattern that you want, you can select it and apply. The core scale color, you can give it any color of your choice. You are not limited to black only. If I want it blue, I can click blue and then go to OK. And then the color will be changed to blue. If I select blue, say here, and I select the blue, I can then go to OK. And then the color will be changed to blue. Materials and finishes, you can do that. Analytical properties, heat transfer coefficient for the wall, thermal resistance for the wall, thermal mass for the wall, absorbance of the wall, roughness of the wall. If you have forgotten your architectural science that you did in school, then this thing might look like a Greek to you. But if you remember your architectural science and you know what heat transfer coefficient is, what thermal resistance is, what thermal mass is, then you can input all of them. If you go to identity data, the wall type, you can give it an image, any image you like. You can give it a keynote. You can give it a model ID. You can specify the manufacturer for the wall. You can give it type comments. You can give a website link. You can give it fire rating. You can put a cost value to it. If you know what IFC is, Industrial Foundation class, you can export to IFC. You can specify the export format, whether you want to default or whether you want it yes or no, you can do that. Export that to IFC as what? You can specify. So if you don't know what IFC is, if you've not read anything about IFC, IFC simply means Industrial Foundation class. So if you don't know what IFC is about, this whole thing will look like a Greek to you. Please, I beg, we should sit up. We should read. In this country or in this part of our world, excuse me to say, we like playing too much. We play everything we play with it. What we are not supposed to play with, we even play with it. And we make fun of almost everything. Meanwhile, the core things that we are supposed to learn, we've left it asunder. So if you look at things very well, all the good projects that are supposed to be handled by Ghanaians, excuse me to say, are handled by foreigners. Not because we can't do it, but because we've decided not to technologically advance whatever we are doing. We've accepted things normal. About 95% of AEC professionals in Ghana use AutoCAD to deliver on their work. In this day and age, AutoCAD line drawings. And even with AutoCAD Chrono, we are still not using it well. What I know in AutoCAD, I must confess, nobody in Ghana is even using 10% of it, of what I know in AutoCAD. And if you compare AutoCAD and Revit, it's like comparing this keke car, keke that people sit in, the three-wheeler car, comparing that three-wheeler car to a Mercedes-Benz parametric in terms of function and utility. And that is what, and the keke Krano, people are still driving in only first gear. They don't even know that there's a trafficator in it. And they are using AutoCAD just at that level. And with that mindset, how can we even discuss Revit and then move on? So most of the things that I'm telling you here, or you are learning from this class, you will meet other Revit users, you will discuss it with them, and it will look like a Greek to them. I'm being frank with you. I'm being sincere and being very fair with you, because that is the situation on the ground, because we simply do not learn. We simply do not read. So if you don't know how to edit these type properties, then it becomes a problem for you. Let me go back. If I take a door and I go to edit type, even before I go to the edit type, when I select the door, look at the instant properties. We have constraints, we have construction, we have materials, we have dimensions, we have other, we have IFC. Let me zoom in to the instant properties for the door. Please take your time, go through the constraints, the level it is associated with, the sill height of the door, the construction, the swing angle, masonry insert, masonry frame, materials and finishes for the door. Look at it, frame finish, and the finish for the door, dimensions for the door, identity data for the door. If you go in the facing for the door, is it new construction phase 1 or phase 2? Is it demolished or not demolished? In which phase is it demolished? IFC parameters, other information about the door, MFO opening width, MFO opening height, insert calculate, head height, frame finish, the hardware for the door, the head, the jamb, the material, the sill, the undercut. If you do not understand all these technologies, how do you input them? You can't input them. And while the door is selected, if I go to the edit type for the door, it will open the edit type properties for the door. It will show me the family of the door. It will show me the types of doors under it. I can create different types of doors under this one. If I come to each of the types, I can look at construction. I can look at materials. I can look at dimensions. I can look at analytical properties. I can look at identity data. These are all called parameters. If you don't get comfortable working with these parameters and how to manipulate them and change them and edit them and update them, then you are not a parametric modeler. And if you are not a parametric modeler, what it means is that then it means you are not using Revit very well. And if you are not using Revit very well, which is if you are not doing a parametric modeling, what it means is that then you cannot do BIM at all. So at the end of the day, while other countries are pursuing BIM, as a country, we don't even discuss BIM at the national level among construction professionals. Not the Ghana Institute of Architects, not the Ghana Institute of Engineers, not the Ghana Institute of Contractors, not the Ghana Institute of Facility Managers, We've given ourselves title, president this, president that, fellow this, chartered that. But the things that affect us as an industry, that will push the industry to a certain level, we do not discuss them. When we meet and we are talking, the things we talk about is cloth, conferences, seminars, big English, do you know who I am. And that's where we find ourselves in. Meanwhile, the tools that we are supposed to use to work and deliver on projects, we don't exploit them. We don't invest in them. We don't do anything with them. Then we are living in the darkness in the building industry. We don't know what is happening around us. We are still discussing wheelbarrow type of construction and shovel kind of construction, concrete mixture construction. Please, before sit up, if I take a furniture, the furniture too has its own properties, constraint properties, identity data properties, facing properties, IFC properties, and all of them have their parameters. If I go to edit type, it also comes with its own parameters, constraints, materials and finishes, dimensions, identity data, IFC parameters. Somebody needs to understand all these things. Please, I cannot put it in your head if you are not ready to push it. I cannot force you to understand it. You should be able to understand it on your own. Anything you take, if I take an elevation marker and I select this elevation here, and I go to edit type, it also has its own parameters. If I select the elevation head and I go to edit type, it also has its own parameters. And these parameters, somebody must take time and understand them. If you work with them, you understand them. If you get challenges, you ask questions, then somebody will assist you. But if you don't take steps to understand them, then the only thing that you can assume that, Charlie, this thing that is difficult to mankind, how do I add elevation? How do I add sections? I've had interaction with people with Revit over 16 good years. And they still ask you questions that beginners are supposed to ask you. That even not beginners are supposed to ask you, but they still ask you those questions. Just because we are not pushing ourselves. Any question before I continue? Or any suggestion before I continue?
Yeah, sir. I want to ask something.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the parameters.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask if you open the edit type,
Mm-hmm.
where you have constraints, material finishing, and all that. I want to find out, for instance, under the constraints,
Mm-hmm.
those items that are under the constraint, can we add up?
Yes. You can add up.
Okay.
All the things that we see here under the parameters, the ones that we see in these ones, we call them default parameters. We call them default parameters. Recently, a firm invited me that I should help them get a template for their office. So I decided to build a template for them. But when it got to a certain point, they seemed not to be ready. So I had to discard the whole idea. Okay, let me show you something. Let me open a file and show you. If you are in this project here, then I click on the project parameters here. This default one. So it comes with some few parameters here. Ceiling height. There are some few parameters. You can also go onto your Revit and then click on these project parameters here. As you can see it here, have you seen it? The parameters that are associated with this current project. If I click on it, so there are few parameters here. Ceiling height, finish, frame finish, glazing type, hardware, then undercut, then seal. You see, there are very few of them. Do you understand? You can count them. I want to show you something I did for that office, and then you have a fair idea of what I'm saying. I'll go to File, New Project. I'll browse. Then look for Jolo. Then take this template. Okay. So I pick a new template. Then go to OK. I won't take you to other aspect of it, like sheets, title blocks. I just want you to look at just the parameters.
Okay.
Your ability to create parameters in a project makes you a parametric modeler. Whatever steps you can adopt to master parameters in Revit, please do. You have no option than to do no. So it comes with this one. Okay. So I'll go into manage and then go to project parameters. Watch. See the parameters. Can you see the list? Can you see them? Can you see them? I took my time and did all this work for them. But later on, he told me something bullshit. So I had to discard. I don't know whether he wanted me to do it for him for free or something. And this is something I can do it for you for free. No. Something that can save you a lot of time, that can save you a lot of work, that you can use to deliver your project very fast. There's no way I can do it for you for free. Do you get a picture I'm painting? There are so many things we are not doing right. If I open schedules, even sheet lists, and go through them, see the cartoon sheet list I did for them up to a certain point. Do you understand? General arrangement, details, 3D impressions, schedules and legends, and everything. So the point I'm making is there's more to Revit than the eye can see. There's more to it. But you must push yourself as a person to be able to do that. If you cannot create parameters here and they go to new parameter, and when you go to a new parameter, you can either create a project parameter or you can create a shared parameter. You must know the difference what the project parameter is and what a shared parameter is. And if you create each parameter, you can attribute the parameter to any object. Architecture, structure, mechanical, electrical, piping, infrastructure, everything. You can see the long list of objects that you can create and assign parameters to. A very long list of objects. Then if you come to a parameter grouping, there are different groupings of parameters. Analysis result, analytical alignment, analytical model. We know of constraints, we know of construction, we know of dimensions, division geometry, electrical circuiting, electrical lighting, electrical load, electrical analysis, electrical engineering, energy analysis, fire protection, forces. These are different groupings. Then you can create new parameter under them. The last time I checked, there were, I think, about 54. So, if you count them, I think there are about 54 parameter groupings. And there are different data types that you can work with. Text, integer, angle, area, cost per area, distance, length, mass and density, number, rotation angle, slope, speed, time, volume, currency, and so on. These are the things that will separate one Revit user from another. And if you cannot do some of these things there, then it means that you are swimming in the children pool of Revit. And I'm saying this on authority. Most Revit users in the Republic of Ghana, they are swimming in a barrel, not barrel, a pan. There's silver pan that the ladies used to fetch water in our villages. Fill the water halfway. That is what people are swimming in this country. And then we divert attention to rendering, visualization, rendering, visualization. And if you ask the person to prepare working drawings, the person cannot produce even basic working drawings with Revit. And they give you AutoCAD files to work with, and all you can see is errors scattered through the drawing all over. And we don't care. We have no shame. Any question?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm saying that when we are doing a project like 3-bedroom house, after doing the wall, like putting in the going to the loadable family, you bring in window, doors, toilet seat, chairs, and everything. On that project, all the loadable family component is being saved on that project. But when you open a different file, you know, do another 3-story or another 4-story, so a 4-bedroom house, you don't see it again unless you go to loadable component family again to go and reset. You could download them again. Yes. Why?
That is where a template comes in.
Okay.
Anytime you are starting a new project, you know, you always start with a template. And that's why I've advised you, everybody should take one project, develop that project, do the sections, do the elevations, add the furniture, add the doors, add everything. Then later on, you see that everything will be complete. You've done your sheet, you've loaded the title blocks, you've done dimensions, you've assigned materials, you've loaded doors, furniture, and the whole project is complete. You can print it as a completed work. Just one project. You've done all the language settings, all the font settings, all the dimension settings. Everything is complete. You have your view templates, you have your scope boxes, you have your everything in them. Then that project, you can then save it as a template and then call it needs template. So when you save it as needs template, then you delete all the things you don't need from it. So every time you are starting a new project, you go to File, New Project. Then instead of picking default metric template or picking a metric template or picking multi-discipline template, you rather go and pick what? Needs what? Template. And when you pick needs template and you start with it, everything you see there will come with what? Title block, needs title block. It will come with everything complete.
Okay.
Let me show you something. I'll still go to new project again. New project. I'll browse. I'll go to my machine here. Open this PVD. I did this for a particular office. There's another one I can show you later on. But let me open this one, PVD one. and then open PVD templates. You see that I did templates, PVD basic template version 1, PVD basic template version 1.01. So this was an update on this one. So I choose this one, then go to OK. So I'm using this template. Do you understand? Me?
Yes, sir.
You follow?
Yeah, I'm following you, sir.
I'm using this template. So I go to OK. So to create a new project based upon that word template. So it can be your template. It can be Bafo's template. It can be Gordon's template. It can be Rohi's template. It can be anybody's template. Until you get your personal template, it means you have not arrived. So the assignment I gave you for you to do, I wanted you to do so that at the end of the day, you can save your own template out of it. But you guys are not working on them. So when this project starts, and I go to the elevation, say north, this is sketch design. If I go to production, you see the levels are already designed. There's a foundation level, there's a level head, there's ground level, there's ground floor. They can always add on. If I go to the ground floor, there's two grid lines defined. There's one scope box, there's the elevation markers. If I go to sheets, preliminary sheets are there. Cover sheets are there. Information bulletin sheets are there. And if you go to information bulletin sheets, you see the client address, project manager, structural engineer, quantity surveyor, project architect, project name, project number, project reference, file name. Do you understand? With the file name, you can specify the project number, originator, project zone, project level, everything. The software version used, mechanical lead, civil lead. You go to flyers. There are flyers. There are revision template sheets. There are general arrangement sheets, floor plans 1. Everything is already done. And if you select one title block, there are about several title blocks for you to choose from. Main cover title block, you can change. I can change the title block to another title block. I can change it to a different title block. I can change it to another title block. Do you get a picture I'm painting? Everything is okay. I asked you to design title blocks. Until now, only one person has showed me just one title block. Out of 54 people who are supposed to be on the platform, only one person. Nobody has bothered even to do the title block. And can I force anybody to do a title block? No, I can't do that. And if you don't do these things and then create your own template, you'll still be at square one. Is your question answered? Reflected ceiling plans are there. Section sheets are there. Elevation sheets are there. Detail sheets, enlarged views, enlarged view 1, assembly details. All these things are already done. If I go to the schedules here, then go to sheet schedule. I got to a certain point. I went to him for the person to pay me. No, they told me no, he can't pay me. He's not establishing school. He's running an office. So I should stop. This was somebody I respected very much. But he told me bullshit. And this thing I can't do it for you for free. I've also invested time and money in learning them. And when you do things for people for free, they don't even utilize it. I decided to do this essential training for free. 54 people expressed interest to be part of it. Averagely, less than 10 people attend, as you know. The maximum number we had was 17. And averagely, we had about between 5 and 11 people coming in and out. Just because we don't place value on them. And this is the last time I'm doing anything for free. I swear heaven and earth. I'm going to be very sincere. It's not by fault that I should teach anybody Revit. No, it doesn't happen. Any question again?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
again, as you were saying that when you do a project,
Mm-hmm.
we should do electricals, mechanical, plumbing, everything that you say we should do. But in this our country and the people that we have, clients that we have, you may tell him or her that you should do electricals attached to it or plumbing. He or she may tell you that he or she don't need it. She don't need it. So even in our assemblies, most, let's say in Kumasi, they don't ask for the electricals and plumbing. So is it compulsory that we should do it for them, or we just should do the working drawing? And after doing the working drawing, is it compulsory that we should do document on the working drawing without doing the electricals?
And when you are building, you see, we live in a very interesting country. The kind of issue that you are raising now is the issue that pushed me out of the architecture discipline. I don't do architecture, I don't practice architecture as I speak to you. You understand? I do something else. I've swept and gone into programming, software design and stuff, because people do not understand architecture, engineering, and construction. The people that have gone to school with you, I had mates whom I went to tech with, did a course like planning, did a course like land economy, did a course like civil engineering. They do not even see the reason why they should give their work to an architect for the architect to design for them. When somebody does land economy, he thinks he can do drawings. When somebody does civil engineering, he thinks he can do architectural drawings. Do you understand? And if you look at the caliber of people at the assemblies who audit the drawings and approve the drawings, what are the educational levels? What do they know about construction? What do they know about design? What do they know about engineering? Mr. Ni,
yes, I understand.
What do they know? What is the educational background? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sir, I understand you.
So if you look at that picture, then what that means is that we are sitting on a time bomb in terms of the building and construction industry. Take a typical Google Earth and then look at the new neighborhoods in our cities and then explore the Google Earth maps and then look at the layout. You will weep. You will weep. Meanwhile, you go to these assemblies, we have district health planner, we have district this, that, we have district engineer, we have district whatever. What work do they actually do? Nothing. Most of them don't even know why they are there. And they're only there taking bribes here and there. And if you don't pay the bribe, they'll just frustrate you. Even if you go, they just look at the offices, they stay inside themselves. Look at the environment of the offices itself. You will weep. And somebody needs to do something about this. But nobody is doing it. Meanwhile, we have Ghana Institute of Architects, we have Ghana Institute of Engineers, Ghana Institute of Planners, Ghana Institute of Surveyors, Ghana Institute of this, Ghana Institute of that, titles all over the places. Meanwhile, what is supposed to be done, nobody is doing them. And if you try to insist, you create enemies for yourself. And because you are a builder, listen to me carefully. You prepare an estimate and go and give to a client in order to be able to build for the client. So the question I'll ask is, how do you prepare your estimates? How do you check and make sure that the estimates that you are preparing to the client is accurate? So we do guesswork. We just assume anything. Charlie, madam, you give me 50,000, I can use it to put up the building. Meanwhile, you know that you do the work for you to do the work. The person will just give you the work for you to do the work, 50,000. Then go and spend 20,000 and then do anything for the person and then pocket the 30,000 and tell him that you finished the work. Knowing very well that the work that you've done for the person is not worth the 50,000. But you are more interested in the 30,000 that you are going to pocket. Look at the National Cathedral issue, for instance. We spent about $58 million plus. We couldn't even put out the foundation for the structure. Look at the presidential palace. We spent about, initially it was supposed to cost $30 million. $30 million. They spent over $150 million before they could finish it. Look at the Agenda 111. We are supposed to build hospitals across all the regional and district capitals in the country. Not even one could we complete. Meanwhile, there were consultants upon consultants working on them. How many construction projects in Ghana have you seen being completed, 100% complete before? None. People just do anything, submit it, take the money, pocket it. After a year or so, then the road goes back into its previous state. Mr. Nee, we have a problem. We have a challenge. We have a big problem. And until we decide to do something about it, prayers cannot solve the problem we have. But most of the time, we tend to rely on prayer, excuse me to say. Meanwhile, prayer can't solve our problem. We hide under religion. We hide behind politics. We hide behind the shadows of tribal affiliations, and they do a lot of shit on the ground. We don't value knowledge. We are not objective people. We just live to the cameras and not do what is right. That is the picture on the ground. And if you try to be resistant, people will show you the color of your inside. They will show you where the power lies. So look at our neighborhoods. Ghana government construct major roads, for instance. But look at neighborhoods. People will put up posh apartment, posh residential units. If you enter their compound, they tile the compound with the best of time, but they drive out of the house and they are driving in a deep shit. Gutters, gullies, rough roads, unimaginable. But we don't care. That is the situation in which we are living. We are shameless people. And the situation in Ghana is better as compared to what is even in Nigeria. The situation is in Nigeria is also far better as to what is happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So you can imagine what is happening in Niger, in Chad, in Somalia. So what some of people who think they are smart do is that they will leave the shores of the country. Then they will go to the white man, Oyibo's land. Then go and do manual jobs, gather some few coins, buy a Porsche car, Porsche phone, and drive around. That he or she is a big man with no shame. Look at the transport situation in Kumasi and Accra. Public transport situation. Look at what people go through. Visit a typical hospital. Look at the situation around. Visit a typical school. Look at the infrastructure in our schools. We need to set up. If you don't take care, you say things that you are not supposed to say. And that's the reality on the ground. But for me, I don't learn to impress anyone. I learn to understand stuff so I can do things the way I have to do them. When I started this Revit training, I trained almost everybody in this country. I did. Some of the people that I trained went about telling people stories about me and started giving themselves titles that they are this, they are that, they are this, they are that. So 2014, I suspended the whole training idea and left it for them. And they've not been able to add an iota to it, nothing. So the standard that I left in 2014, that is what people are still used to. And most of them are even below par. You can meet any Revit user and ask him who trained him. Either I trained him or I was trained, that person was trained by somebody that I trained. And that's the situation on the ground. I decided to come back to this thing and then take it up again because I realized that nobody did take it on. But from the way it has started, I'm even disappointed. I am. I'm still considering my options as to whether to continue or not. Because we don't seem to be interested in what is happening. No. Tell you, if you look at what the white people are doing with software, if you look at the kind of project that they are doing and what we are doing here, it's a pity. It's a sad story. If you don't take it, the only thing you'll be doing will be complaining. But you cannot be continue to complain. You have to do something else. This I do it as a hobby. I'm doing something seriously elsewhere with programming. You understand? This doesn't put bread on my table. That was why I could decide to do it virtually for free. But people didn't even place any value on it. A word to the wise is enough. Any question? Any suggestion?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
today where is Antoinette? Or Madam?
Only four of you are here today. So about 50 people are absent.
Oh.
Yes. Because we are supposed to be 54.
But the day we started, up to now. So that one day, don't talk about it, please. Because we 54, we started with 70, we came to 50, we came to 12, 10. That was still on it. So that one day, let's leave it like that and we see what God will do.
Maybe there's something I'm not doing right. I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know. I just don't know.
But to me, you are doing everything right. Maybe somebody else, but to me, you are doing everything right.
You see, we don't like learning. That's also the fact of the matter. People think they can take shortcut and get results. But in life, there's no shortcut. This time I've learned the hard way.
Please, don't be discouraged.
I am.
Yeah, I understand where you are coming from, but some of us are really, we are really not only enjoying, but we've learned so much ever since we started this course, and I think that not only learning the Revit per se, but you have really encouraged us. Somebody like me. The last time I told you I've been using Revit for a while, but if I tell you what I've learned ever since we started this class, you may have no idea. And I've learned so much. And not only that, but I mean, I've been listening to you, not only the course per se, but other things around that you keep on saying. And the advice you give to us, and it has really inspired me. Most times I don't talk, but I mean, I just feel how, I mean, just to hear how you are talking and the emotions. That's why it has really urged me to let you know how you have really inspired some of us. And ever since these classes started, I've learned so much, and I never miss it. And one thing is that even if I also watch all the videos, even if I take part in the class, I also watch the videos. At least every day, I've set 1 hour aside to watch the videos before I come. So it tells you how important this course is to me and how I manage to even make it every day, because you are sacrificing and we are benefiting. So if personally, if I cannot make it, I mean, it's not fair because you are sacrificing. So I would say that don't be discouraged. You are blessing some of us. You are many, but even if at the end of the day, few of us are able to get to where you expect us to be, I think you will be proud of us and you'll be proud of yourself as well. So I will only say that don't be discouraged. Some of us are blessed and we enjoy what you are doing. Not only the course per se, but even the advice and the encouragement. It's so much that we just have to let you know how much you are blessed. Thank you.
You're welcome. Essentially, there's a lot we have to learn. Me, I don't compare myself to anybody. I compare myself to myself as to how I can improve upon myself.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
I'll add something small to what BC said. Sir, you know me from Kumasi.
Yes.
That's it, from Kumasi. You taught me something, but to the end, I left it and I was doing construction. But for the few months that I've started, you taught this one for free. You know it. You know it. I've learned so much. Because first, I don't use Revit. I stopped using AutoCAD. But right now, as I started using Revit, I've seen what I've done today. So please don't be discouraged. Some of us, as BC said, we have learned something. We have learned more things from you. So please don't be discouraged. Continue to let us finish. After these 24 seasons that you are talking about, we won't leave you. We'll still keep calling you, keep coming to you. So I know definitely we do more. We learn more from you, more than this. So don't be discouraged, please.
Right. I hear both.
Thank you.
No, well noted. But you see, we live in a group. We are not an island. Nobody is an island. And we have leadership at every level. We have architecture students on Tech campus. We have architecture students on Central University campus. And we now have architectural technology students at Whole Technical University, where I'm currently at. We have architectural technology students at Takoradi Technical University, Accra Technical University, Sunya Technical University. I think Koforidua Technical University is also trying to do something similar. And this is the reality that we are facing. At the end of the day, what are we teaching them? What caliber of professionals are we bringing to the field for them to make an impact? Now you see most architects are gone into construction. Just because they feel that construction is the easiest way to make what? To make money. Meanwhile, ethically, no architect is supposed to be a contractor. It is ethically and morally wrong for an architect to design and at the same time do the construction for a client. It's not proper. But we do it in this country. And nobody cares. Nobody bothers. And because of that posture, we've left the design side. And everybody's now doing the construction. So we are not designing our buildings anymore. We are not designing our neighborhoods anymore. So if you go to any new neighborhoods, Kaswa, Oibi, Amasama, Sapema, they travel through those communities. It's a pity. The kind of city we are building. Meanwhile, we have people who call themselves, I'm an associate member of this institute. I'm an associate member of that institute. We just do not have any shame. You, it's 10 o'clock. Let's continue on Monday. When you come on Monday, we continue with settings. You look at all the settings we need to look at. You look at unit settings, project unit settings, common settings, electrical settings, energy settings, HVAC settings, infrastructure settings, structural settings, and so on. We also look at snap settings, how to do precision drawing. We will look at object stars settings. We will take the whole week. Most of the things that are left for us to do will be on settings. We look at additional settings, line stars settings. We look at line weight settings, so that you can get proper graphical display for your work. We will look at line patterns. We also look at field patterns for field regions. We will look at detail levels, how to work on them. So these are all basically settings. And one thing I'll do also is that I'll start working on the sample project that we started with. If you remember, we started with a sample project. I'll do it as a different tutorial. What is that? The first project that we started with, you remember that new site that it was too big? That
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Smaller one. Yes.
Uh-huh.
I started that project from scratch. How to start it from scratch, how to do the walls, how to do windows, editors, and everything. So you can follow along and then do it again. You understand?
Okay.
I'll do that. So see you guys next week.
All right, sir. Thank
You're
you, sir.
welcome. Thank you for your advice too.
Thank you, sir.